Hello and welcome to the PC Perspective Podcast. We're back after a week off. It's episode 822. It's May 14, 2025. I am Sebastian Peak.
I'm Jeremy Hellstrom.
I'm Josh Walrath.
After a couple of weeks of introspection, I'm Brett Van Sprinberg.
And I'm still Kent Burgess, unfortunately.
And Ryan Schroet still won't hang out with us.
Hey, and no one can take that away from you, Kent. Or really from any of us. Our identities are our own. Except for, I don't know what I'm saying.
Those that are stolen, then maybe your identity is somebody else's.
Except for Brett. Brett doesn't actually own his own soul. He's constantly, he's in and out of Turkish prison, and he's just a puppet.
It's more of a penance than a puppet, but it's another P word. But yeah.
Let's move into the Patreon segment of our show. We're going to thank some people this week, Brett.
We are.
Who are they?
You know, I'd like to thank Pepe S. Pepe. It's a fun name, Pepe. Pepe S. Thank you so much for joining the legions of people, the givers, the supporters.
It's almost alarming how many people there that are
it is
supporting us.
I want to throw some callbacks out to C. DiCarlo. Thank you for hanging in and sticking with us. And AC, you know who you are. Not DC. AC. Yep. And Sean M., whoever he is, wherever he may roam. Thank you, Sean M.
Are you sure it's not seen?
I went there once, and you know what? That was an offshoot bit of dialogue. I decided not to. I didn't take that one in this time again. Yeah.
Josh, it's time for the food segment. We've been waiting and waiting. I don't know if you had a burger last week or not. I wasn't paying attention to Twitter, but
I dug deep into Josh's Twitter stream.
Well, I just posted the burger from today, but you don't need to look it up.
Apologies.
I mean, if you want to, but I was late. But last week, it's taco truck season in Laramie. All the three major taco trucks decided to open up. And I went with one that had carne asada, pastor, and I can't remember the last one. But they were all really, really good tacos. Nice street tacos with the double. Yeah. Yeah.
It's like a triple, practically. No, it's a double poly. Yeah, I see it.
Well, yeah, it's two corn tortillas per, and they stuff them full of meat, and they make their own little homemade red sauce. 3 limes, gotta have them. Gotta squirt those puppies on there.
Get your vitamin C. So yeah,
it's a skirt steak and a carne asada and al pastor. So fantastic, and I'm happy to be alive. 3 taco.
It's a great day to be alive. Great day.
Great.
Taco Wednesday.
We all enjoy a good taco truck every now and then.
Hey, Josh is thinking outside of the box, and that's what matters.
Sometimes you can't live on burgers alone.
Sometimes you need pork.
Sometimes.
Yep. We have a neighborhood truck here. One of them is blazoned with El Jefe. That's his taco truck. Makes pretty good street tacos. Good Mexican food.
Let us move to the PC Perspective news desk. And while we were away, there have been a number of reports coming out about the upcoming Radeon RX 9060 XT. There will be 16 and 8 gigabyte variants. We've talked about this before. Now we have some clocks, apparently 3.3 gigahertz clocks.
Ooh. And
pricing. It seems that XFX cards were inadvertently listed early on Amazon, and the XFX Swift, so their base model card, $449.99. Then an overclocked model, $519.99. So $450 seems to be the price. Now, sadly, that's an 8 gigabyte card that I'm looking at. So that's... I'm guessing that they've integrated tariffs into the pricing or something. Who knows? Maybe they're just placeholder prices. We haven't had an official announcement yet because Computex hasn't happened yet. So,
And don't
next
worry,
week,
whatever
right?
it sells for will be significantly higher.
right.
So, that's
regardless.
Do we
Yeah, if you
remember
double
what
that price, you can get the 9070 XT Mercury from XFX.
Isn't this supposed to be
Double the
somewhere
price.
around not 6800 XT performance level, but maybe GRE
Supposedly
performance level? Or?
7800 XT.
Oh, it is
Really?
somewhere around there? Okay.
I think so.
huh.
So if it's around 500, then it's just a lateral move, but it has better ray tracing performance. So there is that. Not the most exciting rumor I've ever seen. Speaking of products that exist,
Or cards that you can't buy but might exist somewhere.
the RX 9070 GRE has been reviewed. From May 7, AMD and a select bunch of its board partners are set to launch the RX 9070 GRE 12GB graphics card tomorrow. So that would have been the 8th of May. They're starting out as exclusives for the China PC gaming hardware market, according to Toast at Tech Power Up. Now, there are some early reviews out for this card, and the results are not all that exciting. It's basically the same performance level of the previous GRE card, and the price is either the same or more. So it's somewhere around a 7900 GRE. So it's not on this chart. They're citing various sources, so we'll have to see some better results at some point.
It's a semi-educated guess at this point, I guess. 100% of a 7900.
Oh, I see. So on this one chart, so it's 100.8% of the performance of a 7900 GRE. That's about 1% faster. So very exciting.
So exciting, it blew the rest of my hair off.
And it's fans, too.
Josh looked like Michael Bolton before the start of this podcast. And
Yeah.
let's move on to another hardware story. If you've been following the PCI Express 5.0 saga, the WD Black, and WD, of course, not Western Digital anymore. It's SanDisk if it's an SSD, but they've retained the WD Black naming for the new SanDisk gaming SSD. I'm guessing they already made all the stickers, but the WD Black SN8100 is, according to one review, the fastest yet. The new champ of internal SSD speeds. And I was on board with this, looking at some of the specs and scrolling through a few reviews and like, wow, this is really impressive. Until I realized that certain reviews, such as this one, do not have Samsung's latest SSD. How are you calling this the fastest if you're not testing against the 9100? So, yeah, I mean, it's fast, but the reviews and apparently the performance of the drive are a bit inconsistent early on. There's another review I pulled up from PC World that said its writes were all over the map, sometimes as low as like 300 megs per second and then ranging up to 13 gigs. And they did test it against a Samsung 9100 Pro. It was typically just a little behind or kind of neck and neck, depending on the queue depth and things like that. So at times it is faster than 9100 Pro, but at other times it is not. So I think we need a little bit more time in the firmware department. Maybe they'll have a update soon. I do not have one of these drives in to test.
The one I read when it was released, I can't remember which PC Express. They tested against a 9100, and it was consistently a little bit faster. There were a couple of things where it was matching. There was one particular operation that Samsung totally falls behind on. And PCI 4.0 drive is one of the fastest ones in this particular corner case, and then the Western Digital got a little bit faster than that one. So it needs more testing but it does seem like results are kind of all over the map.
Yes. But Josh, here's a subject that's near and dear to your heart. GRADO. You're wearing them on your head right now.
Oh,
And there's a lot
I'm
of
sorry. It's a different Grado.
there's a lot of
I don't know where you're going with
prestige
this.
involved in wearing a Grado Labs headphone. But no, we're not talking about that one. It's Epic 4005 Grado series.
I also wonder where that code name came from. Maybe they
Were
do
they
have
a fan,
there.
or are they oblivious?
CPUs are going to have some wood trim on them, and they will all have fixed, attached, non-removable cables directly to them, and that's why they're called Grado.
Yeah, but their mid-range, their mid-range offerings are so strong,
Yeah. They really make a statement with this product, I think. Man,
don't let
they make a $2,000 headphone. Okay, sorry.
Don't let others needle you about Grado.
Oh, do they still sell phone cartridges? Don't they?
They still do phone. Yeah.
Prestige.
Yep.
Oh yeah, the gold. That's a render. Anyway,
$260. That's not bad.
Does it come with stylus too, or?
It does.
Oh, okay.
That is cartridge and stylus together, Jeremy. Great question.
That is decent.
That's for standard mount. All right, where were we? Oh, Epic. Grado is great, says Serve the Home. Grado is great, and Intel is exposed, writes Patrick Kennedy. He says he feels like a broken record. They keep on talking about Epic wins in the server space.
Mm-hmm. Well, for good reason.
Yeah, I mean,
these ones are insane. Because the thing is that Intel, what they're offering is just a rebadge with almost nothing interesting. I mean, it's lacking higher end DDR5 support. It really can't even do AVX 512 data paths fully. It's just last year's chip brought back again. These Epics, on the other hand, are ranging from about 65 watt TDP up to an insane 170 TDP. But on that one, you're getting 16 cores, 32 threads with a boost of 5.7 gigahertz. Ooh. And you get to choose, because apparently the same price at just over $600 if 64 megs of L3 cache is enough, or if you want a whole 128, because you got an application that can handle it. So the pricing beats the snot out of Intel. The performance embarrasses Intel, and the feature set, like I said, it's got the proper AVX 512. It can do up to DDR5 5600, and I mean, there's RAID Expert 2, so you don't even have to spring for a RAID card, because these are their entry level ones. These are suddenly you've got a business that needs an on-site server. And these Zen 5 ones are just something else. It's really, really good news for AMD. Although I still don't understand Grado. I just...
Yeah, but the interesting kind of thing about that is they've got the 3D V cache, but it looks like that version's got 3D V cache on both CCDs.
I believe you are correct, sir.
Usually 96 megs of L3, and this is 128.
So that would be the one
a lot to love.
Physical difference between the two, since this is based on desktop Ryzen.
True. But it's Zen 5 with extras.
Yeah, Zen 5 with all the goodies unlocked.
Yeah, 65 watt for a 16 core, 32 thread chip. That's pretty nice.
And the pricing,
I didn't see the price on that
good.
one, but I don't think it's even $400.
See, this is not like the old days with Intel, where you had certain enthusiast platforms where you could pop in a Xeon, or you could mix and match between the two with like a pin modification. And there was a huge price difference between the two. This is actually very similar pricing to the desktop counterpart.
Yeah, there you go. It's $239 for the low end. That's,
and look at that high end.
That's
the
a
high
server
end,
chip.
The high end 16 core 32 thread with 3D Vcache, only $699, and that's 128 megs of Vcache. Now,
wouldn't that be interesting to test for
on
gaming?
both CCDs? Yeah, that's interesting.
That's fascinating. Unless they're using a smaller process, and no, that can't be. Let's see.
No.
The 9950
Stedman Smith, yeah. This is what Threadripper became, is the lower end Epics.
Yes.
There was no reason to have Threadripper after Epic turned out to be so well named.
Oh, okay. We're
and
getting
well endowed. Really.
we're getting a little confused
Indeed.
here because Gen 5 X3D is 128 megs L3.
Okay, then I'm wrong. It is only on one.
It's literally the same processor, but if you have shopped for one of these, it's the same price.
Yeah.
I guess it depends on what your application is.
Well, do you want ECC memory support?
Yeah.
Then,
Yeah.
and a couple of other, server level stuff that it's not going to impress a gamer, but if you want to
How
build
many
something
PCIe
where you
channels?
how many you want?
That would be one.
Yeah. So the official pricing for the 9950 X3D is the same as the X3D model in
They're all priced the same. They're all priced at out of stock.
Well, yes. But look at this. The 9900X on sale and in stock.
Oh, on sale. Wow. Okay, impressive there.
$229 for the 9600X, which is the same price as the entry level, the other one we were just talking about. So, yeah, interesting that it's...
Well, they're not screwing the consumer. It's nice.
No.
I'm just looking
And
for differences.
apparently
What's the actual...
up to 28 lanes of PCIe 5.0. So
That
there
seems
you go.
like enough.
Yeah, but yeah. I'm just wondering if this is if it's just a power thing or if it must just be an ECC thing. And of course, their power limits are going to be more aggressive. Unlike, I wonder what like PPT, if PPT just matches like maximum TDP, if they don't go over like the desktop parts too. Interesting. They're a trusted choice for small business and hosted services, embracing the AI era.
Oh,
It's now available in audiophile systems.
I don't think it even has more lanes than desktop Ryzen.
No, it's the same. I mean, it's
28 lanes. I did not realize
Desktop
that.
Ryzen has a lot of lanes.
yeah.
Next news story via Tom's Hardware. Asetek, their key water cooling patent expired the other day.
Can you believe
And
it?
they're now exploring strategic options for their cooling business. So they were making quite a bit on licensing since they had one of only 2 designs that are used in the industry. And now anyone can clone their original design.
There were some inventive ways kind of around this patent for a number of years. Deepcool was one that did like a multi-chamber thing. And there was somebody else who, I'm trying to remember who it was. It may have been, who moved the pump like up the line, like closer to the radiator.
Enermax. So like the Be Quiet, I think Enermax was their OEM. So the ones that have the pump on the hoses itself. I think that was an Enermax design. Cool It
and that was an attempt to get around
system.
Yeah.
So yeah, expect to see a lot of very similar looking AIOs and probably cheaper too if there's no licensing involved.
And less expensive, I think, is really going to be the key. Well, minus whatever tariffs potentially add. But can you believe it's been 20 years since they put this patent out? It's just
that's insane.
Yeah. And that's 2005 was 20 years ago. I mean, math.
Yeah,
it sort of works.
Another hit for Asetek is that they're currently leaving the U.S. market with their sim products. So they do cooling and racing sim products. And I think this past week they said we're not shipping anything to the U.S. anymore. It's just too hard. Too many tariffs. So who knows when we'll see them back.
Or if.
That's a good one.
Well, that was depressing. But you know what isn't depressing? Retro computing. And buried deep down inside of your Windows install right now are remnants of Windows 3.1 that live on to this very day. 12 kilobytes of ancient icons under C Windows System 32, moreicons.dll. I'm going to look for this right now.
That's Lotus 123 and WordPerfect icons.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I had to pick the screenshot, and those are the two that sort of captured the perfect look. And you can make any of your icons on your desktop look like this. If you want AOL to come back, you can do it. Just change Edge to it, and it would actually probably run better. No, these are ancient icons that we grew up with. You may or may not have, but the lovely thing is that it was tiny, and it was easier to leave that there than to completely reprogram how the icons looked for DLLs and tell it to not look for more icons, because that was just sort of a default that it went to. And there was a time where if it couldn't find an icon for the program you were installing, it would just pick one. And sometimes they were interesting. So yeah, if you want to, you can't get your start menu back, but you can get your icons back if you want.
Nice. You can sort of get your start menu back. You can put it over on the left. You can customize it.
Yeah.
Remember, kids, moreicons.dll contains more icons.
Cleverly named. Hiding in plain sight, as it were.
Yes. It's not more icons.
No. That would just be a bunch of pictures of CMOS battery placement.
Yes.
That's
Of course, you're saying, listen, kids, but kids are not going to know. Kids are not going to know what Lotus 123 is for certain.
They're also not going to know what DLL is.
Envy them in a way.
The last of the more icons. Yes. I think Kevin Costner is currently trying to raise money for that.
Yes.
All right. Let's talk about storage. Western Digital investing in ceramic hard drive pioneer Terabyte.
Yeah, you're wondering why they're giving away the SSD business. Perhaps they have their eye on the next generation of storage.
Long-term storage?
Well, I don't know if they're giving it away, because isn't SanDisk under the same umbrella?
Well, they
just changing branding.
They spun them off.
Oh, okay.
They spun SanDisk off, and it has all of the SSD and flash.
Which makes sense.
So this is a German company called Terabyte that has pioneered.
Weren't they the evil creatures in with that cube thing?
Terabyte from Hellraiser.
That's Hellraiser, and that was Cenobites. It's close. Cenobites are tasty and delicious.
It is.
Wait, Terabyte was the dog that had 3 heads.
I think that's just Cerberus.
That's just Cerberus.
No, but that had a terrible bite.
Cerberus. Thank you. But Terabyte is a German company pioneering ways to store digital data onto ceramics, if you can believe it, for only a quick 5,000 years of resiliency.
Nice.
I think they've dunked this stuff in hot water, and I don't know if they've microwaved it, but they've sort of abused it in a lot of different ways, and it completely comes through just fine. Anyway, this is the
so you're saying A. Nazir
enormous.
Would use this,
so
that he could complain about the crappy copper from thousands of years ago.
The potential scale of storage on ceramics is pulling us towards the yottabyte era, which is amazing if you think about it. All this stuff, storage on chips and magnetics. I mean, how do even magnets work? Nobody even knows. But apparently ceramics are the future.
Hey, ceramics are the future of pans. You know, the high-end nonstick pans are ceramic. And if you
This is going to get
They
us
don't
to
work
the
on the
dollar
induction
per
oven, though.
terabyte. Dollar per terabyte is where they're heading by just a few short years from now. Like
$1 a
literally, like
terabyte?
5 years. Yes.
Come on.
Yeah. Yeah. They're actually looking at those sort of numbers within 5 years.
There will not be $1 per terabyte in my lifetime, Brett.
Oh,
I don't know.
we have a new.
I'm going to die in like 2 years. But so it's.
Oh, okay. Yeah, there's that. Inside joke. He doesn't know.
terminally ill. All right. Let's move on.
All right, that jive is coming back. Let's keep this rolling.
From Bleeping Computer. Oh, you guys are sneaking in a
No, this is good
security
news.
corner. No, you always do this.
No,
you
no,
do
no,
these
no.
quasi security corner stories. All right. So Microsoft fixes Linux boot issues on dual boot Windows systems. Now, what's the grub here?
No, it
I
doesn't
saw
need
what
grub
you
at all.
They replaced grub.
Yeah, it's got grub too.
Grub bypass.
Yes. Because,
What,
Windows
there was a
Secure
recent,
Boot never breaks anything at all.
except
ever.
it did.
And it's also totally secure, except, well, it's not. But that's a different topic.
Mm.
So, yeah, this was a wonderful update that they pushed out back, not quite a year ago, but getting close. And, yeah, it messed up just about any distro you could name. Where all of a sudden after that update came out, and it was the Secure Boot update that hit, boom, that was it. That dual boot was now a single boot.
Yeah, you lost the ability to gain access to your other OS. Nice. Do you think they did it? No, I don't want to say on purpose. That seems underhanded.
Well, see, I would think that a couple years back, but now it's more along the lines of like a lot of their Azure stuff is run off of Linux, so you can't really. In fact, a lot of Microsoft. Wait a second here. Yeah, so you can't really say that anymore. They've kind of accepted that this OS is not going away, but they do like
Linux actually
use it.
Yeah,
Yes.
I mean, they have done an attempt at embrace and extend with their Linux runtime environment.
Let's pause here for a word from this week's podcast sponsor.
The situation around network security keeps evolving, not only because the threat actors keep changing and adapting, but also due to how users expect services to function with low friction. If you're a business owner or IT admin or just have a heightened cybersecurity awareness, you know the risks and what's at stake. NordLayer is offering a business-oriented, toggle-ready solution with no additional hardware that can connect and protect users by combining VPN, access controls, and threat protection into one single, easy-to-use platform. Built on the standards of NordVPN and Zero Trust, NordLayer works across all platforms, Windows, macOS, iOS, Android, and Linux, to grant only the right people access to the right resources. It's deployable in minutes with no hardware or complex configurations. NordLayer easily scales with your team and infrastructure to secure your networking and spot threats before they escalate with dark web monitoring and data breach prevention. Secure your employee connections to the internet and, in turn, your company resources to prevent threats and IP leaks. Help prevent malware, ransomware, and phishing attacks from reaching your service endpoints with deep packet inspection, DNS filtering, and download protections. Try NordLayer now risk-free for 14 days with up to 22% off a yearly plan, plus an additional 10% off with our code PCPer-10 at nordlayer.com/PCPer. That's nordlayer.com/PCPer. Use code PCPer-10 for an additional 10% off your yearly plan.
It is time for Insecurity Corner. Let me pull up the first story here, which technically
This is a surprisingly popular segment with the audience. You'd think that all of this
There's
bad
something
news
wrong
would
with you
turn
all.
people off, but no, it actually attracts people. I mean, people
Really?
are like, "Tell me more about how security's gone wrong and like how I may be, at being taken advantage of by malware and oh my gosh, my software is leaking like my personal information like a sieve. Tell me more." It's weird how people want to know about this.
Something
It's
wrong with
very
them.
simple to explain. People are always looking for an excuse to drink.
Oh.
And this segment gives them that.
Oh, speaking of,
I thought it was like the car accident sort of situation where people like slow down
Yeah,
and have
well,
to
that's-
watch, like look
that's
at it.
also. But let's hear the bumper.
Welcome to Insecurity Corner, your weekly reason to drink.
And our first story comes from Rock Paper Shotgun. I'm getting very confused because now it feels like we're in Gaming Quick Hits already. Time to change
is
your
what we
Steam
live for,
password? Is
is
that a
to mess
real
you up.
picture
Yeah.
of Gabe or is that AI generated?
You know, you accuse us
isn't
of doing
Gabe AI
crossover
generated?
stories.
I don't know.
I
So-
think that's actually him. So
Oh, okay. Data from over 89 million accounts has reportedly leaked to the dark web.
Dark web.
Well,
Dark
everything's on
web.
the dark web.
Yeah.
No.
This is legitimately a crossover story between the security and the gaming. But you know what? I moved it to the security one. It just seemed more
Shouldn't it have been the
appropriate.
last one, though, in the security, so then it would seamlessly transition into gaming?
No, I like to end
Did you
on. We're going to end
think
on a happy
about
note.
that, Brett?
I did, but I did. We're going to end on a happy story at the end of the segment.
Yes.
Yeah.
And this one's not as bad as it could be. Because as huge as the amount of records they got
say hu-
were,
Huge.
huge.
Boy.
Sorry.
Oh.
They
Sorry.
were SMS log records. So, well, they are very recent. And they carry delivery date, delivery days, the carrier and stuff that you're using, and your phone numbers. That's about it. So there is no password or other horrific things.
usernames or yeah.
But it's phone numbers. 89 million phone numbers. And if you just set up an auto dialer to, this is Steam calling, we were about to lose access to all of your library unless you respond, please press 1. If you can get a couple of people, you can make a lot of money off of this.
You know what?
So,
At
yeah, it's-
0.0001% of 89 million, that might be worth it.
Yeah. He's there. He's there.
Oh,
Well, should I switch you guys? Should it be Brett in box one,
can't.
and then
stop. It's too much. It's too
Jeremy in box 2?
Some people go that way. Other people
We're
go
doing
that
doing
way.
the same thing.
Whatever.
No, he's.
So yes,
He's
be
this-
afraid, but not very afraid.
Yeah, but you might as well change your password as a precaution. Anyway,
I mean, you've
Mine
been
wasn't-
using the
mine
same
wasn't-
one for how many years now?
I know mine wasn't complex enough. I just went and changed it. I'm like, I might as well. Last time I updated it was never.
Mine's the same as my luggage combination.
Perfect. Yep.
Brett's password is server closet, but he alternates.
it
Like
was-
it's a 3 instead of an E, and yeah.
Yeah, I definitely do that. I did. I am changing everything to Turkish prison though. I'm doing that.
Well, that's not a password. That's just your reality. That's your
That
reality.
is where I live. That's where I live. Transmitting from the lavish Turkish prison
Right.
in my basement.
An all-new branch privilege injection for every Intel CPU since the Coffee Lake refresh. And is this more of the...
Just when
Yes.
you thought Spectre was gone.
Oh,
It's
happy days.
Back. AMD and ARM fans can laugh their arses off because they are not affected at all.
What did
But-
Intel have to say about this, Jeremy?
Well, they emailed me within minutes of me posting this to say, hey, just like the story that you posted said, there is absolutely no proof of anything being done in real world. Because this is yet again another branch prediction attack. So you literally have to train the specific CPU to go towards a specific part where you can then trick it to load executable code as opposed to normal code. And because it's being moved into the OS kernel at the time, it isn't running as user. It's running as kernel, so it's completely and
Privileged.
totally.
It's elevated. Yeah, it's elevated privileges. Part of the real story here is some PR flack at Intel has PC Perspective on a 1-minute refresh.
Pretty much, yeah. I'm very impressed.
I think that's part of the story here, I think.
Maybe it's when the tweet went live, like the auto
No,
tweet.
Jennifer Foss, thank you very much. I appreciate your attention.
Yep. You're a real mover in the industry.
Yes.
Yep. People are listening.
Totally accurate information. I cannot even call her a PR flack.
Accurate information. And this is going back how far again? 2018?
Well, yeah, except they did find some indication that certain parts went back to like Cabby, which is just bloody ancient. There is a bit of good news though.
Will the patch for this further degrade performance?
It will. The firmware patch by about 2.7%, not the 30 to 40% we were seeing with the original mitigations. And the software, if you don't want to go with the firmware, which, spoiler alert, you might not necessarily want to unless you really, really trust it, software ranges between about 1.5 to 8% performance degradation. Not lovely, but compared to the original patches for Spectre and what was the other one? Meltdown, nowhere near the impact that those had. So hey, at least we've got that going for us. Those patches should be rolling out relatively soon.
Is this being exploited in the wild yet? Not yet.
No.
Okay.
And like I said,
so people have days, weeks, maybe.
Oh yeah, easily.
Maybe a week. Work is exploited.
God, I love Branch's prediction.
Next up, UEFI ransomware. It's so last year. Now it's CPU ransomware.
Do you remember how hardened UEFI used to be? Yeah.
Yeah. This is the reason I was warning about the firmware update because, Rapid 7 has designed a proof of concept where you can literally infect a CPU with ransomware via a firmware update, a little microcode update, and that's it. You might as well toss that processor out because it's always going to come back. Always.
Now, Jeremy, in all fairness, this was built off a bug that Google found in the Milan EPYC server chips and Ryzen chips.
The answer is always 4. Always.
I mean, we just gave Intel a bit of a beating here. I think it's fair.
Yeah, so that's fair. Yes. Yeah. So this is Milan EPYC chips and Phoenix Ryzen. So essentially all the new ones, quite possibly including GRADO. That's something we don't know for sure because no one's really tried GRADO yet. Hopefully not. So yeah, last year the whole nightmare about your motherboard got infected and you had to toss it out. Well, guess what? Motherboards have gotten a little more expensive, but CPUs are still significantly more expensive. And this gets on there, that's it. You literally have to toss it out. I don't think there is a way you could rebuild the microcode on it or reflash it if you even knew it was happening, apart from, constantly getting everything encrypted and not being able to open it up again.
If you're working in an industry that has to guarantee like chain of custody and stuff like that, and you can't even take the risks, you've got to dump everything. So
yeah. And I'm sure that once you've infected the CPU, you can usually leverage that to infect the UEFI. So, at that point, they're going for the controller on your SSD and everything else. It will just be wonderful.
Yeah, they're sampling your data as you read and write it, and I mean, it's probably easier than Copilot. So,
the problem is that UEFI is as universal as it is extensible. So,
it is
not so firm anymore.
It's in the name, and that's
it's
a
right there.
Good call. Good call back on that.
Mm-hmm. The FBI says that end-of-life routers are being targeted for cyber crime, malware. So if you're running an older router that doesn't get updates anymore, that's the perfect candidate. So you've got an old Linksys E1200. It's on the list. What about an E3200? No, they don't get updates anymore. Unless you're running firmware.
I've got a WRT 320N. Am I safe?
No. No, if you're running their, original firmwmeirware. But yeah, Chinese.
You do have to have remote management turned on, so that is kind of the caveat.
Why wouldn't you?
Oh, perfect.
Of course. Of course.
Yeah, have what is it called?
Universal plug and play turned on too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have that because you want your ports opened automatically for your file sharing software.
Well, it's easier that way. It's just security is always a trade-off. It's inversely proportional to convenience consistently.
And it's inconvenient to have to buy new hardware because these are considered disposable appliances. You can buy a toaster and use it for 50 years. You can't do that with a router, and it's sad.
No.
Well, you can't do that with a toaster anymore either.
Yeah, that's true.
Because it's also part of a botnet now.
It's the age-old story. Boy meets router. Boy falls in love with router. Wants to have it in its your life forever. And then
you get a little, and then you fall in love, and then there's a whole little family of mesh.
Router opens its port to a stranger,
and then suddenly the Chinese own you. Yeah, it's so many stories end that way, unfortunately. But this is a serious thing, and it's being exploited in the wild. You probably want to check this list out. Get rid of these routers. They've been EOL for some period of time. Like I said, it's being actively exploited, and they're using the routers to do rowdy things.
Yes.
They're using them as proxy services to attack other environments. Yeah. So they're using your cable modem or your DSL or whatever it is you're running on bandwidth to proxy their attacks through your networks, which makes it more difficult to block.
And gets you blamed.
And then it's your fault.
Paying attention. Yes.
And then you won't be able to buy anything on Amazon. And then how would you feel? How would you feel then?
Not even a new router? Oh, no. This is
terrible.
horrible.
You're going to have to leave your house and go down to Walmart and get yourself a new router.
Yeah. But no, honestly, find out what your router is. Look for firmware updates. If there hasn't been one in about 5 years, throw it out. Get a new one.
Unfortunately, it's disposable.
I should probably say 2 years, but let's give it a little bit of time. Yeah, it sucks. But there is good news. We promised at the very end of Insecurity Corner we would actually have something nice to say, and it's Lockbit. Lockbit got hacked.
It's a ransomware gang, in case people didn't know who Lockbit was.
A very big one. And so, if you try to go to one of the places where they actually run the administration for all of the horrible things that they've inflicted upon humanity, it now just reads, "Don't do crime. Crime is bad." XOXO from Prague.
Hugs and kisses from Prague. And then not only did they throw a message up in their public, after their site was hacked, they provided an SQL dump of their internal database. The hackers, the malware team, ransomware gang insists that there was nothing personal in there. There's a lot of interesting things in it, though, with like 60,000 Bitcoin addresses and IP addresses and lists of administrators in their services. But sometimes it's bravo to the hackers hacking the hackers. Every once in a while, it's sort of nice to see.
And that will take down all their CIC sites because they won't be able to go through the admin portal to update them. So it is lovely.
Yeah. So that's nice to see.
I know that.
I know. This is a Unix system. I know this.
So we'll see if this ransomware gang is going down.
Right.
So
I hope that was enough Security Corner for everyone.
I don't know. It felt short, but actually I'm okay with it.
Mm-hmm.
Could have been worse.
Yeah.
Let's move to gaming quick hits. This will be quick because Doom: The Dark Ages, which is coming out tomorrow as we record this, you already know about it. You've already seen it. Your favorite YouTuber has already reviewed it with their press copy. And it's a huge departure. I was watching a video.
Wait, you got a press copy, today. Sebastian?
I don't have one, but I didn't ask for one. You can stand and fight. You can reign in hell. You can discover unknown realms. And it looks cool.
Bowed down to. They'll bow down to you.
The gameplay, I was watching LGR's video today on gameplay, and it's just kind of, I don't know. It's just not like a Doom game.
No.
So
That's
it's
one of
it's
the
a little
major.
weightier. It's weightier and slower, but it's got lots of interesting mechanics. And in ways, they have a lot of the same stuff from like Doom, and how you pick up health and how armor shards work, and just all the different combinations and fun things. And so I have this, and I got a preview copy and played it for about a half hour. And it's still fun. It's slower than the Doom 2016 and the Doom Eternal, because you're always jumping around, moving really fast in those things. This is much more, I don't know, heavier, but the engine looks amazing. The things that they've done with lighting and the relatively small performance hit versus other titles that will do a lot of ray tracing stuff. No, this is fantastic looking, and I hope that they get more people interested in licensing it out and get away from Unreal, and then go back to the old id Tech 3 versus Unreal whatever back then too. And it would be great to see, because they're one of the things that's kind of interesting, and I know I'm going a little off topic here, but the way they implemented ray tracing, you don't have to use baked-in lighting, because that was one thing like Half-Life 2 was really famous for, is the lighting on their scenes was outstanding, but it was all pre-baked. And so they actually, per scene, they had to compute all the lighting, and it took a while. And I remember one of the CPU benchmarks that we had for a long time was this, pre-compute the lighting for Half-Life 2. I'll have to dig that benchmark up and see what it does on modern hardware. But anyway, and so it made editing hard on these guys, because they'd move lights around in the scene, and then they'd have to stop and recompute all the lighting, and that would take forever on hardware back in 2004. Well, because of the ray tracing stuff, they do this in real time when they're building their models and they're building their maps, and it's just a really neat, fast process, and the editing tools look absolutely amazing. So it's neat to see, and it looks lovely, and it runs really, really nicely, and supports AMD and Intel cards, and it's got native FSR and DLSS and XESS support. So yeah, it's a well-rounded technological game, and fun to play as well. So,
but no multiplayer.
Thanks, Josh.
Oh, you can't hop in and ruin someone's game like you could in the last one.
All right, next.
Can you play it with 8 gigs of RAM on your video card?
Oh, probably.
Yeah, probably.
Turn everything down. 1080p low, Half-Life 3, yet another rumor. We have to do this from time to time. Probably not
Always.
true. But reportedly, somebody said something on a podcast or something. Half-Life 3 playable in its entirety and could be announced this year, perhaps.
The most famous Valve stalker has, been ripping apart source code and pretty much found a lot of assets that
Didn't the most famous
yeah.
Valve stalker steal their source code once? Wasn't that guy?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, it's
I
the
think
same
it was
guy.
the source code.
Yeah.
Wait,
Yes.
what?
Yes. Yes. Exactly. Anyway, sorry to interrupt. Go ahead.
Interrupt who? Oh, okay. Tyler McVicker is the name of this person. He did an hours-long live stream, says this report, where he was saying that the game is playable from beginning to end. He was there, man. He was in the room where Valve made Half-Life 3. He said this on the CG Voices podcast. This also may have been a fever dream. We're not really sure. But according to Tyler, it's going to be released, man.
And this is where Gordon's experiences end, supposedly. HL3 will be the end of the Gordon Freeman story, according to this leak.
Ends a lot. I just load the game again so that I can keep going after I die. I mean, that's quite frequent. But we at
Mr.
PC Perspective
Freeman.
also have a long-term stalker, and Collyman had posted the perfect response to this, which I just have to read out because it is pretty much on point. It just seems like a bad idea at this point. There's almost no possible ending that could be more satisfying at this point than the headcanon fans have already written in their head. This is a fair point. Half-Life 3 is never going to be as good as we imagined it might have been 20 years ago. Yeah. So, might be great, but more likely it's going to be a loot box-laden, bug-fueled nightmare with 12 DLC expansions to finish the story, another 3 to learn the story of the first Crowbar before meeting Gordon, with a possible 3 to learn of what happened to our beloved Crowbar after she was taken away, and her quest to return to her beloved. Which leads me to ask the modders out there to please create the story of Gordon's Crowbar, because I do want to know how it ended up where it was and what happened when it went away, and if it is still
I
same
would play the
Crowbar.
Gordon's Crowbar expansion. I would play that.
Yeah. In fact, that could be Half-Life 3 right there.
Yep. That's fine.
So on the Steam OS front, Steam has this page now, Steamworks Development Events, SteamOS compatibility. There's a new compatibility rating system for SteamOS devices that are not the Steam Deck, which of course are only currently, like the Legion
Go.
Go,
Yeah, the Legion
S.
Go S. Yes.
But
that's correct.
there's more coming.
This just feels like they're just making it official. They're laying the path towards putting the stamp of approval on a lot of non-Valve but Steam compatible or SteamOS compatible devices. And I just see them opening up the capabilities of installing SteamOS. At first, if you just want to try it, this is kind of it's a beta thing. If you just want to put it on the whatever device, maybe it's on your desktop. And, then you get an easy way to look through all of the games to say, oh, this is strictly Steam Deck compatible, or it's a Steam OS compatible game.
The compatibility blue check here would let you know, you could install SteamOS on any x86 hardware.
Oh, sure.
And maybe this will run completely fine when you don't have to worry about the nonsense with Windows 11 anymore. This could be our ticket to freedom. The same thing promised years ago with SteamOS and the Steam boxes.
Right.
And
it could
that was
really
back in the
happen this
Windows
time.
8 era when people were desperate for something different.
I just feel like this is potentially the savior of the gaming environment, that you don't have to maybe struggle with Windows to have a good gaming box. Now, I'm getting out, as they say, ahead of my skis on this, but I just feel like that's kind of where it's going.
No, it's so exciting that I'm trying not to get too hyped up about it, because, what if we don't get the same kind of compatibility? I'm sure we will, though. If Steam Deck itself is x86 AMD Ryzen SoC.
I feel like there's like a legality that would hold it back for some reason, something
Why?
that we would never, I don't even know. I'm just saying
Microsoft could just become this footnote.
Yeah.
They used to be extremely, 90% of the market share in home PCs, and then they just became this enterprise thing. And then home users just use Linux, and for gaming they use SteamOS.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be great.
Yeah. So there's a picture that Mir just posted in chat of the low view of the screen of us, and in the background is his tool pegboard, and prominently featured on his tool pegboard. That's right. It's a crowbar.
Yeah. It's the Half-Life Crowbar.
It could be the Half-Life
In case
crowbar.
one of us grows head crabs, I guess.
Just in case.
All right, that concludes Gaming Quick Hits, and now for a bizarre review segment. I had a review. It's not quite done yet on some video card, but this is far more exciting, isn't it, Jeremy?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I guess it's illuminating.
I saw what you did.
Yeah. No, apparently I'm sloppy seconds because Josh turned these guys down, but they offered to send me a set of outdoor lights that are fully RGB, of course, and have light GPT AI enhancement.
Oh boy!
And
Who's
I said,
they, by the way, is this?
Oh, sorry, it is Lepro.
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 That's not.
Lepro.
That's not the
Lepro.
I I saw Lepro, and I thought it was
Lepro?
just short for leprosy. But
No. Yeah.
dude, are you Lepro? Okay. I noticed one of
I've
your
gotten the
fingers fell
Lepro.
off. Okay.
So
Don't
It's not my finger.
singing the leprosy song.
All right. This is not a sponsored review, is it, Jeremy? Because, we're just shitting all over
Obviously
that.
not.
Okay. All right, let's get back on track here.
It's the last.
So we're doing
we will
a-
never hear from this
leprosy.
company.
Lepro AI.
we're doing a
I
review.
love how they had to shove AI in there, but yes.
Oh, it's everywhere.
Lepro or Lepro AI?
I'm pretty
Got it.
sure it's Lepro.
Got it.
Maybe
Okay.
Lepro.
Oh, okay.
Francais.
Yeah. So they asked if I'd be interested in one of their relatively expensive outdoor lights. And I said, sure. I don't want to be greedy. So if you just want to send me the less expensive one, I'm be fine. And they sent me the less expensive one, which looks sort of like your traditional patio lights.
Okay.
They sent me the fully LED ones and an indoor lamp. So I ended up having to do a lot more work than I was intending. It's the spoiler alert is, hey, I've always been making fun of RGB-itis and AI, and this,
You have.
has actually put a little bit of a wedge in my hatred of it because this kind of works. They are bright.
That's cool.
And
Wait, so you can just choose standard, like, warm
Oh
white?
yes, that's the first thing I did. Of
This
course,
looks nice. Yeah, it's just like nice backyard lighting, and then oh my,
You can get a little bit clown vomity if you want.
oh,
We've got a nice wisteria. So lately, I've been matching the color to the sort of light purplish pink of the wisteria, and it looks absolutely lovely. But
this
For the AI.
does yes.
yes,
I okay.
I had to show off what it is capable of, and
I
believe me,
have
as you
to
scroll
say
down to the movies,
That
Oh,
those
boy.
two
It gets a little
lighting
intense.
effects, you have entirely separate friends who will visit each one of those lighting effects. You know what I'm saying? They're totally different groups of people.
this is fairly laid back.
Okay,
There are some that get a little more excited, but still,
that kind
if
of
you were
wobbly
having a
effect
rave
too.
and you're
Is this?
Yeah. if you're in your backyard having a rave, it sort of makes sense.
See, one
You
is
can
dinner
get-
party, the other one is a rave. They're very different groups of people.
You can get quite excited and jumping around. There are some that you should probably have a seizure warning for. I think that's the next one. This is just sort of the bouncing around. This is where it gets a little much.
Yeah.
Oh my. Yeah, that's chase lights or something.
But they've got hundreds of settings. And part of the thing is that the app with its Light GPT is that once you install it on your phone, you can say, I feel happy. And it will do
No
something.
way.
I feel excited. It will do something. I am really, really upset and want to make my yard look insane. It
How
will
about
do something. You
I've
can take a
fallen and I
picture
can't
of
get up.
something.
Yeah, we'll
And it-
do
well,
red
yes.
and blue lights in your backyard. Like I feel
Yes.
violent, and then just brings like the police.
And it will.
into your
You can
backyard.
also make it dance with the music that you're playing. It doesn't like some music where it gets really confused and only shows a blip, blip, blip of a light. There's some where it goes absolutely insane, and there's some that actually work quite nicely. These are like IPv67. They're essentially completely waterproof. They are not solar powered. You got to plug it from inside, but there's a nice gap, an extra cable that she can run from an indoor cable or an indoor plug to the outdoors, or if you get a protected socket, you can do it from in there. The interior one is also kind of nice in that if you've got an artistic streak, you can do a pixel by pixel picture on it. It's not horrible. If you like Alexa or Google Assistant, it will tie right into it. Some of the other ones like Smart Life and Tuya, no, it's not compatible with them. But, I've been using the one in my living room. It starts turning on about 8 in the morning, so that by the time I, haul myself out of bed and chase the cats away that don't want me to get up, I've already got low lighting in the room, and it slowly goes up to full. At night, it can go back down again. It's kind of handy. They are a wee bit expensive. This is the thing, because they do have a lot of programming on the back end. And I mean, the lights I got are 100 feet long. The full LED little cube ones. That'll run you about $250. They got 3M sticky tape, or you can screw them in. So it's do you really want a whole bunch of outdoor lights? The ones that look more traditional, patio lantern, sort of string style, the 50-foot one that I got is just about $50. The 110-foot one, again, 110. The floor lamp that I got is $160. They often have sales, but yeah, I mean, blowing $380 on a 150-foot string of lights is a little hard to justify, but if you want them and you looked at those reviews and said, hey, this is something I really would like, and you could do it on the eaves in front of your house and make them actually look a little more normal than, you know, what I chose to do with the bushes. They work. You can get a lot cheaper ones from Home Depot, from Amazon, from wherever you want. I've played with those before. They literally do not work anywhere near as well as these guys do. So, you know, if you want to be able to play, they do what they say they do, and they stand up to just about anything. So yeah, don't go to their website, because it is absolute insanity. They do neon stuff. They do desk lamps. They do wall lamps. They do a whole bunch of things. I'm expecting that, you know, sooner or later there'll be, you know, ATX cables from them that will glow RGB as well. But, you know, if this is your thing, go for it. I mean, I personally probably would have never spent the money on these, but I'm really enjoying them. And
think what you can do with the holiday lighting with these.
Exactly. You know,
Halloween,
you want your Halloween,
Christmas,
you want your Christmas.
Minor holidays. Find a light
May Day,
scheme for the minor holidays.
The May 2-4.
Yes.
You know, Arbor Day.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
So yeah, there you go. I got a lot more than I expected, which made it look pretty impressive. And if this is your thing,
would you rate these? I didn't. Like, should scroll to the bottom of your review, see what you.
Is there a number rating?
No.
The PC perspective.
He gave him a
award
smiley
level.
face, because, you know, he's into, you know, color psychology now. So it's just.
Oh, apparently they have spent a lot of time with color psychology on these AI effects
on the listing.
Yes.
Interesting.
So, yeah.
Yes,
if you've got the money to spend, they're a lot better than what you'll find on Amazon. But
you can't buy these on Amazon. You have to buy them direct.
Oh, I'm sure you can find them. I'm talking about the inexpensive ones on Amazon.
I see.
Yeah, they can do red, blue, green, and back and forth in a kit pattern, or emulate.
The cheap strip lighting I use is one color at a time for the whole strip.
Yeah, these guys can do a lot.
Addressable. All right. Well, thank you, Jeremy, for that. Yeah. For more, including Jeremy's amazing video clips, go to PCPer.com, read the review, watch the embeds. We're going to move on to picks of the week. Josh, please get us started.
Me. The Western Digital drive just kind of caught my eye. I mean, it's less expensive than the Samsung 9100. It uses the Silicon Motion chip that's absolutely brand new, and it's got a custom firmware and some tweaks that Western Digital / SanDisk applied to it. And, 280 for 2 terabytes is, it's up there. You can get a PCI 4.0 for, 150 or a little bit less. But if you really want that full speed, if you want that PCI 5.0 stuff, and you want an ultra-fast gaming drive, or your OS and your productivity and recording videos and things and editing in real time, this is going to be a nice little uplift for you. I'll be interested to see if eventually Sebastian gets to test it with his suite of tools.
Yes. Very sweet. Jeremy, you had a pick this week.
seem to like a lot of LG products when it comes to OLEDs. And so I was poking around a little bit. Thanks, Colleen. It's still my favorite time of the week. So I spotted something on Canada Computers, which is an LG Ultra Gear Quad HD OLED curved 240 hertz ultra wide 3440 by 1440 OLED. Or I already said OLED display. It's $500 off, which drops it from a very annoying 1,700 Canadian to 1,200 Canadian, which puts it well within reach of some of the other curved ultra wides that are for sale from Samsung and other places. And I did take a quick peek at ratings, and they give it some very, very high marks, except for the HDR, which, having experienced HDR 1000 on ultra wides of this size, is not a bad thing. I sunburn easily. I don't need my eyeballs boiling in my head as it decides to just go full blast brilliance.
Yeah, it's like we didn't get into this hobby because we like the sun, okay?
Yeah, exactly. I think the stand is going to annoy some people, but honestly, at this price and for 0.03 millisecond response rate, and I mean, Sebastian, as I said, you do like the LG OLEDs, and
I do. And that
panels.
response rate, that's just an OLED thing, just super fast response times.
Yeah. So if you're not huge into the ridiculous level of HDR, and there were some problems with local dimming, which could be a turnoff for some people, but again, it is the nature of the beast. So there you go.
Dimming is a turnoff for some people.
Not great local dimming, poor or not perfect local dimming.
Well, it's all OLED is local dimming.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's the nature of the beast.
It's either on or off.
Yeah. The backlight is the OLED, and then there's a filter over it for the RGB. Or they can do it where each individual one is an emissive subpixel.
Yeah.
Brett, you have a pick, but it's not a traditional pick.
It is a very non-traditional pick. You'll have to excuse me if I put a little story out there first. So I don't believe I talked about this publicly on the podcast, but we all knew about what was going on here. I'm sure that all of our listeners are fantastic, wonderful people, and I'd be, interested to potentially meet people occasionally.
Where is this going? Did you have an encounter?
I did.
Nowhere.
I did.
Oh,
so several weeks ago, I got an email from a listener viewer who said that he was in my area and he wanted to donate something to PC Perspective, and I was like, meet someone.
Right. He liked the cut of your jib.
He was going to donate a kidney, right?
Cut of my jib, and he just wanted to just hang out for a bit, and I'm like, that seems awkward. Yeah, I don't know about that. But I spoke to him, back and forth email. Everybody here on the podcast show was convinced I was probably going to be hauled off to a Turkish prison again, unrelated to the first event. But yeah, that I would never be seen or heard from again. But it turns out I actually met up with Will. He's a local listener in the Northern Virginia area. And he turned out to be just a fine gentleman, and we had a lunch together, and it was a great conversation. But what he had was my pick for the week. I hope the
two of you will be very happy together.
He's a decent guy. So, but he had a bit of an unusual thing. So he said, "Hey, I went to Micro Center," which we all know is the place to go when you need something.
By the way, the fastest way to Brett's heart is through a Micro Center.
I actually try. I was wondering about this, and I'm like, he's clearly watched the show and knows.
Micro Center? Really?
He knows your vulnerability.
Hey, come to lunch with me. I'll take you to Micro Center, Brett.
Ah, really?
Okay.
So what he did is he literally donated a sapphire. A sapphire.
Very
RX,
nice.
9070.
The pure, and it's white.
It's white.
It's white.
It's white GPU.
White. Yep. So I've just sliced the end. So this could potentially.
Do an unboxing.
I am. I'm going to do the unboxing. So
a brisk one.
He said he would have gotten the XT, if he had if they'd had any. But Micro Center in the area here in Virginia was out of them at the time. Yeah, this is the white overclocked 16 gig, the way GPUs need to come nowadays. But I think it would be interesting to try out the firmware from the 9070 XT on this and see. Oh, this is very nice.
Well, you know the problem with that. There's no software yet that can flash the BIOS. How they actually flash those BIOS is they've got literally the hardware that they clip on to the BIOS to flash it. So yeah, I was looking at doing that to my. If you got the
or what from Alan.
Yeah,
okay, here we go.
She's a hefty beast.
This is the reveal of the pure 9070 RX 9070 that was donated to PC Perspective for us to do with what we will. Basically, this also sets the level for everybody else. Really, this is the high watermark.
Send Brett free hardware.
This is the high watermark. I think if everybody else
want to meet us in a dark alley, you better be sporting at least a 9070.
Everybody else just step up their game. This is kind of where the level's at now. And if you're just going to say, well, I've got a pen.
Next what Brett needs is an 011 Vision Compact in white.
I was going to ask for
really showcase. Now, Corsair has a very similar case. I reviewed one not too long ago.
Yeah, the 011 Vision Compact is a nice pick. I like it.
Very nice.
I was thinking, what about the height white case? I know why height is going to be very difficult to get.
There's a whole bunch of aquarium style cases out there in white that would showcase your hardware. And then you just have to find a white motherboard or a motherboard with like silver and white accents.
I think so. So I think maybe a nice white build to go around this. And then as Josh was saying, maybe try and find a back alleyway, I guess, to get the new firmware or the upgraded firmware on it. Just see what it does.
Brett, the only thing I ask is that you do not, either on this podcast or privately, tell us what you had to do to get the graphics card. Like
I didn't even buy lunch. I was
actually getting ready to ask if you bought lunch.
I didn't. I offered,
but you did.
I offered to buy lunch. No,
we met up. Yada yada yada. He gave me a graphics card. All right. A physical pick of the week from Kent.
Yes, I actually had picked another WD SSD, and then I saw Josh had done the same thing. So about 10 minutes ago, I quickly switched it to some lights that I got for my garage, but they could be used anywhere. I got these off Amazon. They're just white LED lights. You assemble them into hexagons. You can attach them to a ceiling, a wall, and they were reasonably cheap. They're super bright. There's a coupon on those as well. I got the 8 hex like it shows there in the picture. And yeah, they work great. They are astoundingly bright. That picture is pretty accurate to what you would receive with the lighting from those. Yeah, so, and I'm pretty happy with them. It did take about 4 people to install them on the ceiling, but the assembly was pretty easy, but the installation was a little bit of a headache.
Oh, you dropped it on your head?
No, but one of our friends did.
All right. I actually have a pick. I have a hardware pick, and I have been looking for some kind of bike rack for the back of my wife's SUV for a while so that I can take bikes to bike trails without having to awkwardly cram them stacked on top of each other.
Is it
like sandwiches.
enabled?
Huh?
Is it AI enabled?
No, it's completely mechanical. It's not smart in any way. It's just a metal rack. A lot of the ones I was reading about or looking at in the local bike shop, they don't have the best straps. I was looking at Yakima stuff and Saris and like, what does anybody make a rack that doesn't have just terrible reviews, that aren't sponsored reviews. And I found this company called Hollywood Racks. Never heard of before. It's been around for a long time, apparently. They get great reviews. I bought one of their...
Pamela Anderson's a customer of theirs.
Yep.
Anyway, the Destination. It's available in a 2-bike, 4-bike, or e-bike variant. Of course, the e-bike one has to support a lot more weight. And it goes on a 2-inch hitch. And it is great. It folds up to get out of the way fairly easily. It's not like the most user-friendly one as far as like installation and all that kind of thing. But once you have it on the back, putting bikes on it is very simple. The ratcheting system actually makes sense. It's easy to get them on. It's easy to get them off. So I was very happy. It's expensive. They're $200 for the 2-bike, $400 for the 4. But it's actually not that bad compared to like a Yaris or something. I was looking at stuff. It's like easily up into the $500 to $700 range for some of these. And my son's 20-inch bike fits just fine. And my, 700C tire road bike fits on it. So it's for the whole family.
Not going to go for the Swedish tool, eh?
It is a big rack. It only weighs about, 30. It weighs itself about 30 pounds, but then it can hold like 35 pounds per bike.
Is that leaving any skid marks on your trunk?
No, it keeps it far enough away. That was one of the things I was reading about.
Nice.
Is how far from... Now, I was very worried about the lift gate, because if it's down, can you actually get the lift gate up and down? It just barely cleared. So
this is on your I don't what kind of vehicle is this again?
It's her SUV.
Okay, the SUV.
She has a Lincoln Aviator.
With a nice rack.
So it's on the back of that. Well, I took it off. I mean, it was while she was traveling, and I was using her car the whole time she was gone. And it's back off now, so she doesn't have to deal with it.
I assume the trip went well, by the way. Went there and came back.
Was there?
She came back.
Arrived back safely.
She came back. And she came back. Okay, that's... And the children, did you count them? Make sure you had the same numbers when you started?
Well, just one. And he was with me the whole time. So there was no...
Okay, yep. So clearly you ended with one. Okay, good.
Mm-hmm.
Everything's
Started
fine?
with one. He stayed with me. And yeah, he's still there.
Good.
He's still there. Yeah, that's the family update.
Nice work, Dad.
Nice
work.
Hollywood rack on the bougie Aviator. This is what it's like to live with my wife, who lives she has a corporate job now. So she's like, that was one of her first purchases, was getting a Lincoln. And I still drive my Mazda, and I'm fine. I'm not jealous at all.
I can tell.
Yeah. That's not why I drove her car around at all while she was gone. I left mine in the driveway. All right. So thank you for listening to the PC Perspective podcast. And we can't wait to come back for a riveting Computex episode next week. I'm sure there'll be actual announcements to talk about. This is the 14th. So I think the AMD event will have already happened at that point, so we'll know more from the horse's mouth. We can stop just relying on videocards.com for every aspect of our lives. So until then, good night.
Good night.
Fairly well.
Arrivederci.